Am I the jerk for wanting my best friend at my child's birth instead of my husband? So, I'm a 25-year-old woman, and I've been best friends with Eric, a 25-year-old man, since kindergarten. He's been there for everything, even peeking from the next table when my 26-year-old husband and I had our first date. I did the same when he started dating his wife. I was the first person he called when his wife learned she was pregnant, both times, and I even texted him support during labor. Recently, my partner, April, and I suspected I was pregnant, and Eric was right there with me when I saw the test results. He even helped me plan a sweet way to tell my husband. We've been each other's rocks, and I couldn't imagine anyone better than him and my husband to be with me during labor. But unfortunately, if things continue as they are, I'll only be allowed one person in the room, and that'll be Eric. He's agreed, and I plan to tell my husband when things were more certain. Right now, the hospital has standard rules, but obviously, a surge in cases could change things at any time. However, Eric's wife found out and stormed to my house, demanding a paternity test because she thinks the baby is his. It's not. My husband was stunned and told me he was tired of being a third wheel in our relationship, packed a bag, and left. Eric also texted me, saying that since I want him at the birth, he'll be limiting our contact from now on. I'm honestly shocked by everything and have received a ton of hate in the comments. You're the jerk. How can you do this to your husband? Do you even love him? It's his child too. I think your friend is the father if you'd rather have him there. There are times when having someone other than the father in the delivery room is okay. For example, if they're abusive, no longer together, can't handle seeing the process, are generally squeamish, or aren't a good source of comfort. These things happen. But there's definitely a list of acceptable and unacceptable substitutes. Your mom? Sure, go ahead. Your platonic male best friend when you're still married? You're the jerk. You're the jerk. Your platonic male BFF whose wife thinks the baby is his? Seriously? You're the jerk for a reason. Your husband feels like a third wheel, and so does Eric's wife. Look, I have a guy best friend who's like a brother. I tell him a lot, and he's a huge supporter. But I have boundaries. I wouldn't tell him I was pregnant before my partner. I wouldn't expect him to call me while his wife was in labor. Get your wife to the hospital. You can be close, but clearly, both your spouses feel you've crossed lines. Why did you even marry your husband? Why did Eric marry his wife? You're the jerk. The part that stood out to me was Eric limiting contact to save his marriage. That means he understands there's a line you don't cross between marriage and friendship. But she's clueless. If she'd said her husband would be a nightmare in the delivery room based on past experience, I'd kind of get it. But she's taking a major life experience away from him. You're the jerk. Holy moly, you have the right to choose who you want in the delivery room. But if you don't choose your life partner, what does that say about your relationship? What does it say about how you feel around him? If you don't feel safe or trust the person you married, the father of your child, then what are you doing? Is your husband a beard to deflect accusations of an emotional affair with Eric? Your husband is right, and ironically, he's the third wheel in his own marriage. Yuck. Seriously, think about things. I feel so bad for your husband. He deserves someone who puts him first and wants him at his child's birth. I hope your future ex-husband finds someone who wants to be a partner in life and parenting because you clearly don't. Sorry, but I think you're getting what you deserve. Next story. Am I the jerk for not wanting my parents to be more than guests at my wedding? I'm a 27-year-old woman, an only child of an only child, my mom, and a son of a single woman, my dad. We were solidly middle class. When I was 8, my aunt, her husband, and my grandma died in a car accident. My cousins, 6-year-old male triplets, were taken in by my parents. Until then, my mom was a teacher, but with the kids needing intensive therapy and constant reassurance, she quit to become a stay-at-home mom. My dad got a small inheritance from my grandma that he used to pay off the house. My aunt's and her husband's life insurance was split 3 ways and put into college funds for my cousins. From ages 8 to 13, my parents were so focused on my cousins that they forgot they had a daughter. Money was tight, and I had to quit all my hobbies because my cousin's hobbies were expensive, and my parents needed to maintain their standard of living. At 13, my maternal grandparents sat me down. They said my parents had drained my college fund and threatened them with no contact if they told me, but I was old enough to keep the secret. They said they'd give me what they could for college. That was it for me. I stopped seeing my parents as anything more than egg and sperm donors. Fast forward to when my cousins started college, and I guess my parents remembered they had a kid. But I wasn't interested in a relationship beyond the occasional phone call. Now, I'm getting married. I asked my grandpa to walk me down the aisle and my grandma to be the mother of the bride. Because I'm direct, I handed my parents their invitations in person and said they were welcome as guests or not at all. They got angry, and when they asked why, I laid it all out. Now they're trying to apologize, but it's too little, too late. My cousins contacted me, trying to get me to change my mind and offering me what was left of their college funds since they didn't know I didn't have one. I refused, of course. It's the emotional neglect that hurts, not the money. But a friend said I was too harsh and should forgive and forget. So, am I the jerk? Your parents are lucky you invited them. I hope you can have separate relationships with your cousins. We do have a relationship. I never held it against them, and they're genuinely nice people. I'm so sorry this happened to you, but I'm glad you have your grandparents. Not the jerk. I'm happy you're honoring them on your day. Congrats on your wedding. I hope it's beautiful. Beautiful day. I do have to add, your cousins didn't know, so maybe at some point you won't be mad at them if even you are. Thank you for the congratulations, and I don't hold it against my cousins. They were actually going to be part of the wedding, but after some discussions, they preferred not to smooth things with the parents. Not the jerk. It was really nice of your cousins to offer to make things fair, but it's not on them. They couldn't control what happened to them or how your parents treated them. That was your parents' job. It's understandable that they prioritized your cousins at first, to make sure they were all settled in and recovering, but lying to you about your college fund and using it behind your back was awful. To be honest, ultimately, they'll have to live with it as it is your life and your choice. Honestly, I don't even care about the college fund. It was the lack of care, making me give up my bedroom, refusing me therapy because I didn't need it, not like your cousins. Next story is titled, Am I the Jerk for Telling My Sister That She Has Always Had It Easy? Me, 25 female, and my sister, 25 female, were very close when we were young, but things changed when our father passed away, and our mother had to raise us alone. She, according to me, has always favored my sister over me. It wasn't blatant favoritism. She still cared for and loved me, but my sister was allowed to go to school dances, dye her hair, wear expensive makeup, buy expensive dresses, things I wasn't allowed to do. My sister changed, and during middle school, she became a popular girl while I was the nerd. She often ridiculed me at school, and I complained to my mother about it. She comforted me but never really did anything. All of this built resentment for my sister inside me. Every day at school, I had to face her torment. However, I convinced myself that what she was doing didn't matter, that I would end up happier in life because I worked way harder than her and would be successful. I got into my dream college after school, and my mother was really happy for me, but at the same time, my sister had failed some of her subjects and had to repeat the year. So, my mom didn't want to go out for dinner to celebrate since it would upset my sister. Fast forward a couple of years, and my sister is getting married to a very rich man. I was very happy for her and attended her wedding. I had a job and was doing pretty well financially, but was under a lot of stress due to long working hours. While I was talking to my sister, she said to me in front of her friends how sad it must be for me to have worked so hard for all those years and still be so unhappy with my life while she was enjoying hers. She told me that I should have worked smart like her instead of working hard. I got very angry and told her that failing school and then dropping out of college was not working smart, and that not everyone was as lucky as her to be born with a pretty face and get married to a rich guy they met on Tinder, even though she herself was a loser. After that, I left. Later, I got a call from my mom telling me that my sister started crying after what I said, and that it ruined her special day due to my jealousy. She told me not to show my face to her before I was ready to apologize. What my mom said was definitely true. My mom's subtle favoritism towards her, her popularity in school, the fact that she has a husband while I'm lonely, and the fact that I have to work hard all my life. Still working 12-hour days to earn money while she gets served everything on a silver platter while sitting at home has made me very jealous of her. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. She'll be divorced in a few years, and you'll have all the success you worked so hard for. Your happiness isn't dependent on someone else's misery, but on taking ownership of your own life and being satisfied with who you are and what you're able to accomplish. Not the jerk. Your sister rubbing her success in your face while demeaning your hard work is horrible. And like the previous comment said, she will likely be replaced once her hubby finds the next pretty face, especially if she has the personality and entitlement you describe. Hoping the top comment to suggest that you consider therapy. You admit that you are jealous and lonely, and you clearly have resentment towards your family due to bullying and neglect. Now is the time to live your life. Living well is the best revenge. So see if there are avenues to help you with your issues so that all those bad moments from the past don't intrude on the life you are building for yourself now. Something to consider. OP. Part of therapy may be to go low contact or even no contact with your sister and mother. Seems like you've really struggled with identity issues due to favoritism. As far as marriage goes, when you find the right person, chances are it will have more substance than your sister's marriage. She seems very materialistic. It relies too heavily on physical appearance. But at some point, her looks will fade and/or her husband will stop dealing with her entitlement unless she changes. Focus on yourself. Find hobbies to distract you from the BS. As far as your employment goes, making money is great, but you have to ask yourself, is the money worth the distress? If you can say yes, great. Chances are you'll say no, and you should seek new employment. Next story. Am I the jerk for telling my mom that I can't wait to move out and leave her with my siblings? This post might be long, but there's some backstory required. So, I, female, 25, currently live with my parents along with my siblings, female, 26, and male, 23. None of us pay rent because my parents want us to save up. Both my sister and I have full-time jobs after going to university and have stable careers. My brother was spoiled since he was young and dropped out of college twice. He currently works with my dad, meaning he goes to work when he feels like it, once a week and for 1 hour. Other than that, he doesn't do anything in the house and sleeps all day. Neither does my sister. Alongside my mom, I cook and clean for them since I know how to, as I was the only one who moved out for college. My mom and dad don't force them to do anything, so they don't. They don't know how to cook or clean. They also have no plans to move out, whereas I do once I save enough money. I keep trying to tell my parents that they need to force my sister and brother to grow up and that they can't be so reliant on them for basic necessities that an adult should be able to do for themselves. But my parents are adamant that it's fine. Here's where it got really bad. I was in a work meeting and stressed out, and my parents asked me to make dinner for my siblings. I said I couldn't, that my siblings could easily get dinner started. She said no because my brother was sleeping at 6 p.m. and my sister was at home doing nothing. I said this is getting too ridiculous and that I can't wait to move out so that my parents can deal with their adult children alone. I told them to not come whining to me when my siblings are 40 and still living at home. I feel terrible because my parents do a lot for me too, but I feel like Cinderella and taken for granted because I know how to survive as an adult. Not the jerk. Your parents needed to hear that. Hopefully it will sink in. Besides, there's a difference between helping your parents who help you versus slaving for 2 lazy adult children who haven't done anything for you. Honestly, this is ridiculous. They want you to cook for a 26-year-old and a 23-year-old? Are they toddlers? You're right that your parents are in for a hell of a time once you move out. If they had been under my grandma, she would have kicked them out. Start cooking normal meals for you and your parents and kid meals for your siblings. Tiny servings of frozen chicken nuggets and chips, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, microwave mac and cheese. And for maximum effect, give them a cheap plastic kiddie meal toy each. Yeah, I'm petty. Not the jerk. The truth hurts. You should fast forward your plans to get out of there. Your peace of mind will thank you. Now for the last story. Am I the jerk for asking my son, on my parents' behalf, to stop speaking his native language? I am originally from Egypt, but moved to Sweden after I unintentionally became pregnant while on vacation several years back. My parents were enraged at the news since I wasn't married to the father of my child, so I decided to separate from them and move to Sweden and marry my husband. We now have a son, 15, and our cat. I recently convinced my husband and son to move to Egypt, and things have been a little rough. Our son has been fighting me left and right. One of the main reasons I wanted to move back was because my parents and I have made peace, but they do not want any Swedish spoken in their presence as it isn't their language. My son knows Arabic as a second language, but he refuses to speak it when he doesn't have to, instead speaking in Swedish most of the time. My parents have told me they don't like it, and I don't like it either. I find it disrespectful, and I feel like Sweden isn't part of our lives anymore, so I asked my son if he could stop speaking the language, at least not constantly. He called me vile names and hasn't spoken to me since. I don't want to involve my husband because he's been very stressed lately. I hope someone sees my point of view. Now for the comments. This may be the post that earns Jerk of the Week. Sweden is all your son has ever known. That's his entire life that you just upended to please your honestly awful parents. Saying that Sweden isn't part of our lives anymore is horrid. The world doesn't revolve around you or your desires. You sound like a narcissistic parent based on those comments and your complete disregard for your son's emotional state. You're the jerk. Exactly this. Sweden may no longer be part of your life, but it is very much a part of your son's life. It is all he has known until you persuaded your family to move to please your parents who have suddenly had a change of heart and want to know you. Sweden will also be part of her life in the future. Her husband is Swedish. Unless they fully cut contact with his family on all fronts from the past 16 years, pretty sure Sweden will be her son's entire life when he escapes her in 2 to 3 years.